If you buy a share at 10 shillings, you are required to sell the share at 50 shillings to make a profit of 400%. If another individual acquires a share at 100 shillings, he is required to sell the same share at 500 shillings to make the same profit of 400%. In this video, I am going to discuss why it's so essential, ordinary Kenyans, you and I, to buy small cap stocks instead of going for big stocks which cost a lot of money. Not that they are expensive, but they require a huge chunk of resources for you to acquire, let's say, the same number of shares. If you are interested in this kind of content, remember to subscribe, like, and also don't forget to share. As I have mentioned, it's so essential for you as an individual, more especially if you want to build wealth. You are not interested in preserving wealth. If you are interested in creating wealth, you should go for small cap stocks. As I was researching, I came across what actually defines what a small cap stock is in Kenya. And I found out that to define a small cap stock in Kenya, it requires that company to have market capitalization of less than 4 billion Kenyan shillings. And this is not what I really wanted. What I wanted is to have a figure of, let's say, 5 shillings to 15 shillings per share. That should define what it actually means as a small cap. Because if you are going to use market capitalization, you will have companies like Tea, which cost above 200 shillings to acquire one share. And not many Kenyans can afford to buy one share at 200 shillings or 300 or 400. I don't want to lock a lot of Kenyans outside just because a company has a market capitalization of, let's say, 4 billion, but one share is selling at 100 shillings, 150. That should also be classified as a market capitalization. No, what I am going to refer is the share price, and I don't want to include penny stocks. Penny stocks are a disaster. Most of the companies which are listed in Nairobi Stocks Exchange and are in a penny situation, those companies probably will not survive for long, or if they may survive, they are not going to make any rewards. They are not going to benefit most of the investors who are going to be excited to buy those shares. And some of these penny stocks, which I don't want some Kenyans to be interested in, they include Everready, we have Mias, we have Uchumi, and I hate to mention, but I believe Kenya Airways is a penny stock. Now, the companies which I want us to focus on, this may include, I am going to use a decent example which I believe has a great potential, is HFCK, HF Group, which is listed in Nairobi Stock Exchange. As I saw of late, it sold at around 9 shillings per share. I believe that's one of the shares which most Kenyans should focus on. And why is it so crucial for most ordinary Kenyans to focus on small cap stocks? Number one, in small cap stocks, they are cheap. You can acquire those stocks at a decent price. Let's say, for example, if I am going to use HF Group. HF Group, I have observed it for the last 3 years, it has been making some progress. Initially, it was on its deathbed, but for the last 3 years, there has been some progress in terms of they have increased revenue and they have been making some profits, and also they are in the process of reducing their debts, and that's why I am excited. For those individuals who are interested to invest in HF Group. So most Kenyans can afford at least 900 shillings to acquire 100 shares. And if you add that 900 shillings, if you were interested to acquire, for example, a company which is classified as small cap stock, that is Tea, it will take you 25,000, or let's say around 40,000, 25 to 40,000 to acquire the same 100 shares if you wanted to have 100 shares in your portfolio. So it really is expensive for most Kenyans. Another thing which is so beneficial for individuals who are interested to invest in small cap stocks is it hasn't received the attention of the mainstream. media. No individuals are interested, more especially to discuss these shares, these small cap companies. Most individuals want to discuss the likes of Safaricom, they want to discuss the likes of Kenya Commercial Bank, Equity Bank, we have other cooperative bank, all of those big institutions. But I also believe the companies like cooperative bank, it has a great potential. We have also Absa, it trades around 20 shillings, 30 shillings. So they have a great potential. But in this video, I am going to mention only those which range between 5 shillings to 15 shillings. Those are the companies which I am going to discuss. So these companies, they don't really receive the attention, and hence you are likely going to find yourself in a more lucrative position. Once you have bought these shares, once they tend to get the mainstream attention, then the people are going to be crowded in wanting to buy these stocks, and this is going to improve the share price of the shares which you own. And that's exactly the main essence of you as an individual investing in the stock market. Another thing which you need to understand why it's so essential for you to invest in small cap stocks. They also have they don't have the attention of the great investors. Let's say, for example, the rate Chris Kruby. He had huge resources, and I don't believe he could have gone ahead and invest in smaller companies, for example, the ones which are trading at 3 shillings, 5 shillings. His main objective could have been maybe investing in those big companies, the likes of Safaricom. I realize also he had some shares in Centum, but that's the point I'm trying to drive is, for example, if it was in the likes of the US, those small cap stocks, individuals cannot go and invest in those companies because they may actually force those companies their prices to skyrocket, and most institutional investors are not advised to invest in small cap stocks. So that's why it's so beneficial for you as a small investor to go for these small cap stocks. So those are some of the things which can make you as an individual be inspired to invest in those small cap stocks. They have a massive potential growth. They also don't have the excitement which the mainstream want to discuss about them, so they are kind of not that famous. And once they become so famous, it will push their share price to skyrocket. A good example which you can use is KPLC. An individual, I am posting this video, or I am recording this video on March 2026. An individual who bought KPLC shares, who spent around 3.2 million Kenyan shillings or 3.5 million Kenyan shillings to acquire KPLC shares in less than 1 year ago. He could have acquired a million shares. Currently, those shares, if he didn't sell or he didn't freak out and thought maybe he or she has made a decent profit and he needs to get out of the market, the same amount would have been not less than 5 million, not 5 million, but 15 million Kenyan shillings. So you can see the potential of you investing in small cap stocks. Those stocks, once they receive the mainstream attention, then they tend to skyrocket and they rarely come to the original price which they used to sell. So that's why it's so essential. But if you are going to invest in these small cap stocks, what are some of the things which you need to prepare your mindset? What are some of the things which you need to be ready for? One of the things which you need to realize is that these stocks tend to be so volatile. They tend to be more sensitive to the market conditions. So if you are going to invest in these stocks, you need to be there for the long haul. You are not supposed to invest in these stocks for short-term periods. These stocks do prefer or do require some patience. Another thing which you need to realize is that these stocks tend to be more risky compared to maybe large cap stocks, and you may end up losing your own resources in the stock market. But that's part and parcel of you investing in the stock market. One of the best insurance which you need to insure before investing in these small cap stocks is they need to have a really decent cash flow, also financial statement. Those things need to be intact. You are not supposed to go invest just because it's a small cap stock. you need to invest because it has shown a potential for growth. The revenue is growing, earning per share is growing. Those are some of the things which you need to ensure before investing in these stocks. And above all, you need to be patient. Thanks for watching. If you are interested in this kind of videos, remember to subscribe, like, and also don't forget to share. Anyway, I like your thoughts, what you think about the small cap stocks. Have you invested in them? And if you are not invested in them, why? I like those thoughts.